What happens when one of the world's biggest music moguls turns his private desires into a courtroom nightmare? Imagine a hush falling over the room as a soft-spoken woman walks down the aisle, only to break into tears at the witness stand, while the judge has to warn him not to nod at jurors again. Tonight, we dive into the raw, emotional testimony that has stunned everyone in Sean Diddy Combs' trial. She stepped into the courtroom under the cloak of a pseudonym, only Jane at risk, her real name hidden to protect her safety. From the moment she walked down the center aisle, every eye was on her. Sean Diddy Combs turned fully around in his seat, watching her approach, while the judge later had to sternly warn him against nodding at the jurors. When Jane began to speak, her voice was soft but steady, until the emotions caught up. As the prosecutor asked about those first hotel nights, her head dropped, tears welled, and she dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. The silence in the room was almost deafening, punctuated only by her occasional gulp as she fought back sobs. Social media exploded with speculation about her identity, and her own attorney warned that every post threatened her safety. But nothing could shake her resolve. Despite the fear in her eyes, she pushed through, determined to tell the truth, even when it cost her tears. Jane says it all began in 2020 as a whirlwind romance, late-night texts, private jets, and promises of forever. But in May 2021, everything changed. That's when Sean Diddy Combs invited other men into what she thought was their relationship, unleashing a Pandora's box she could never close. She remembers the moment vividly. "I feared losing him. I just wanted to be everything he wanted," she told the court, voice trembling. Documents show she quietly drafted her fears in her iPhone notes, drafts titled, "I'm done being used," and "This isn't love." Yet when the men arrived, she felt trapped. No threats, no violence, just the weight of his approval. She complied, believing it was the only way to keep him. But those hotel rooms weren't romantic getaways. They were a calculated spectacle, and the real horror was only beginning. Behind closed doors, the court heard how those hotel nights became marathon spectacles. Imagine bedsheets and towels draped over every surface, red lights pulsing, music thumping, and sessions that stretched well past 24 hours. Jane described them as debauchery, the same freak-offs Cassie Ventura once named, except this was darker. Combs watched while escorts cycled in and out. She testified that sometimes it was one man, other times 3 or more, and she lost count after at least 11 different strangers. No violence, she said, just the fear of losing him, so she complied. Every new face, every drug-fueled round, chipped away at her sense of self. And in those rooms, it wasn't pleasure, it was control. Prosecutors pulled up her own words against her fears. A November 2022 draft in her iPhone's Notes app pleading, "I don't want to do drugs for days and days. Stop using me for your creepy, wild desires." Timestamps show she saved those drafts long before this trial, undercutting any suggestion she's fabricating tears now. Both they also introduced hotel invoices and travel receipts, bookings at the Trump Hotel when she claimed the balcony incident happened, flight logs to Turks and Caicos and Miami, even the bag tags from LA drug pickups hidden in her suitcase. Each record stitched together a tapestry of trips she once believed were private getaways, but now stand as irrefutable proof of a calculated, ongoing conspiracy. The evidence wasn't just in her memory. It was etched in data, too. The prosecution didn't stop at personal testimony. They traced a pattern of predicate acts tying Combs to a criminal enterprise. Jane testified that on 2 occasions, he sent her to pick up narcotics from his LA mansion, KK and security handing her the stash to pack in her suitcase and fly it to Miami. Prosecutors called this possession with intent to distribute. They also revealed that Combs negotiated a $10,000 a month rent deal for Jane and kept paying it even after their relationship soured and the investigation began. Financial records and bank transfers show he funneled tens of thousands in allowances and trip expenses. Combine that with hotel contracts covering red light freak-off sessions, and you get a blueprint of an alleged racketeering conspiracy designed to recruit, transport, and exploit. Every drug pickup, Every payment, every booked suite wove into the government's case, proving not just isolated incidents, but a deliberate, ongoing operation. Combs' team insists Jane wasn't trapped. She stayed for the lifestyle. They argue she lobbied for $5,000 to $20,000 allowances, reveling in rent-free living and luxury trips. Defense counsel painted her as a con artist, chasing perks, not a victim crying out for help. They pointed out there were no beatings, no threats, just a consensual, open relationship that got wild. If she really objected, they asked, why didn't she walk away? After all, she still lives in that lavish apartment because Combs kept footing the $10,000 rent, proof, they claim, that she had a choice. But jurors now must decide, was this love turned exploitative or simply dating perks gone too far? Yesterday, the judge blasted Combs for nodding vigorously at jurors twice during Cassie's friend's testimony. He warned it must not happen again. Today, as Jane sobbed into the mic, he watched closely for any nonverbal cues. Leave Arda the Texness. The room fell silent with each gulp and sniffle. Jurors leaning in as she recounted the Pandora's box moment and marathon freak-offs. Combs sat stone-faced, eyes fixed on her every word, betraying no emotion but commanding the courtroom's full attention. Jane Medicate, all eyes turned to Monday. Prosecutors promise a recording suggesting Combs tried to tailor her story and possibly tamper with other witnesses. Will rent payments reappear as evidence of coercion or mere dating perks? Dating payments. Is this heartbreaking testimony the nail in a criminal enterprise case or just the opening chapter of a larger cover-up? Drop your theories below and stay tuned because the next bombshell may be just days away.